Hey guys, it's me, Vinny Lospinuso. I'm here for another vlog and another video about Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2. Now, for those that didn't see it yet, I made a vlog talking about the recent release of the game and my top 10 most wanted characters, which I had my number 10 being Reggie Rocket, number 9 was any of the Cat Scratch characters, number 8 was Rudy or Snap from Chalk Zone. Number 7 was Plankton. Number 6 was the Angry Beavers. Number 5 was Mr. Krabs. Number 4 was Zuko. Number 3 was Angelica Pickles. Number 2 was Otis. And number 1 was Timmy Turner. I'm just speed running through them. I give more details in my vlog for it. I did a couple days ago when the game was announced. But breaking news, the game has been leaked. Well, specifically the roster has been leaked. At least it could be the starting roster, but we don't know yet because there's some characters here that are not on. That were in the last game that are not on here yet, such as Shredder, Leonardo, Michelangelo, Cat Scratch, Oblina, not Cat Scratch, and Cat Dog, Oblina, Sandy from SpongeBob as well, and Lincoln Loud. Those characters are not on there, and also Hugh Neutron's on there either. I do think they're still going to be in the game. They're just not on this, on this banner. But the newcomers that we have announced so far are Squidward, Jimmy Neutron, Donatello, Raphael, and we even have Vlad, who might be a boss, might be a playable character, could be both. Who knows? But as the picture shows, it also shows 7 other characters we got as newcomers. Well, first off, we have El Tigre, who technically was already confirmed, but this only further proves it. We don't have Arnold in the game, but we have his best friend Gerald and his grandmother Gertie. So we have 3 Hey Arnold characters in the game, assuming Helga doesn't get cut, and none of them are Arnold, which is very odd. I mean, maybe it's because they feel like Arnold's too much of a pacifist. And maybe they feel like, Gerald can do a lot of the stuff that Arnold can, so it'd be good to have more representation, which I do agree with. Though at the same time, not having Arnold in the game, but having Gerald and his grandmother and his girlfriend is kind of weird. That's like, I don't know, that's like having SpongeBob as a representation, but you don't have SpongeBob, you have like his grandmother, Larry the Lobster, and Mr. I don't know, it's weird like that. I mean, I like Gertie. I think Gertie could bring a lot to the table, and I think Gerald, like I said, he could do a lot of the same things that Arnold can, so I'm not really too upset with their inclusion. I think Gertie will be a great character. I mean, Gertie is this game's WTF character, someone that I was not expecting, most people didn't expect, but she could have a really good, interesting moveset. She was a ninja, she was part of the Marines, she was a spy. She could do a lot. There's a lot of opportunities you could have for a moveset, but still not having Arnold is kind of weird. What else? Oh, yeah. Besides Danny and Vlad, we have a 3rd Danny Phantom character. We have Ember. So Danny Phantom gets 2 new characters. And assuming that Vlad's also playable as well as a boss, Ember McLean, who I think was like the 3rd biggest villain out after Vlad and Skulker. She's a very popular character. Personally, I would have preferred Skulker over Ember as a choice, but I like Ember a lot as a character. I think there's a lot you can do with her, using music and whatnot as a weapon. That sounds really awesome. I would love to play as Ember. The Angry Beavers are also here, Norbert and Daggett. These feel like outside of Rocket Power and obviously Doug, feels like a really big addition from the 90s. You need to have the Angry Beavers there. You need to have Norbert and Daggett. It looks like they'll probably be like a Ren and Stimpy sort of like tag team kind of character where it's 2 characters in one. Or they could be 2 separate slots. Maybe it could be like a Zelda Chic thing and like Melee and Brawl. I don't know, but it's pretty cool to have them on the roster. And then the final new character they have here is Azula from the last Avatar: The Last Airbender series. Now, a lot of people, including myself, expected and were highly requesting Zuko, but they added Azula here, who is a female character, and she's also a villain, a nice villain to the show. So I'm not too upset with the addition of Azula because she can have electricity as well as her fire powers. Though at the same time, I mean, maybe as DLC or something we can get Zuko. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would like that. Oh, and one more character, Plankton, who I almost didn't recognize because he's in the mech suit. Because those who don't have never seen SpongeBob, Plankton's very teensy tiny compared to the rest of the SpongeBob characters. So having him in a giant mech suit, which would actually probably make him the largest character in the game, either him or Reptar, would be kind of funny. I'm interested to see how he's like. Now, my analysis of all the characters. I gave my analysis on Gerald and Gertie, Azula as well. Now, why Plankton as opposed to Mr. Krabs? Well, I think it goes back to the idea of villains as well. I mean, if you're gonna have Lad and Ember in the game, then you're gonna also have Azula in the game, and you already have Shredder in the game. It's nice to have another villain. Also, while Plankton has been playable in Nickelodeon crossover games numerous times, Mr. Krabs, funny enough, has never been playable in a Nickelodeon crossover game ever. I mean, Larry has, the Flying Dutchman has, even Gary has been playable in that, and even Squidina or the younger version of SpongeBob and Patrick. Those are spin-off characters. But yet, despite those characters being playable in crossover games, Mr. Krabs has never been playable. And I think a big reason why that's the case is because, well, first off, it could be that he's just not realizable at the time, but I think the biggest reason is because his voice actor, Clancy Brown, is a real legit actor who's been in movies like Shawshank. He's in Mission Impossible and numerous other huge pictures. And he'd obviously be the more expensive than comparing to Mr. Lawrence, aka Doug Gazowski, who's been with Nickelodeon since the Rocko's Modern Life days and is one of the people that got SpongeBob off of the ground. So he's going to be a lot cheaper to get compared to Clancy Brown. So I'm not very shocked. Also, the new characters were El Tigre and Angry Beavers I like too. But I have several criticisms with this. Okay, number one. Still no Rugrats characters other than Reptar. I mean, I understand the idea of not wanting to fight any of the babies, but at the same time, the Rugrats outside of SpongeBob are the most well-known Nickelodeon property. Well, that was created by them. I know there's Garfield and there's Ninja Turtles, but those came before, Nickelodeon started making their own stuff in 1991. I would say that it just feels very weird if you just have Reptar and none of the babies, whether it's Tommy, Angelica, Chucky. And if you really don't want to have any of the babies, at least throw another character in like Grandpa Lou or or Stu Pickles or something like that. But even then, it just feels kind of weird not to have any of the Rugrats. I mentioned this before, Arnold, him not having there, but having Gerald and Gertie there instead. I mean, I'm not too upset with it, but it just feels very weird. The other characters I think are fine, but my biggest criticism kind of goes back to the first game, and that there's no Fairly Odd Parents on this roster. Fairly Odd Parents was around for 10 seasons. It dates back to 1998, had its own series starting in 2001. But the reason why Timmy hasn't been in this roster is the same reason why there's been no Fairly Odd Parents stuff in games for a long time. And that's because of the licensing agreements that Nickelodeon has internationally with Nelvana for the first 5 seasons of the show. That's why games like Nicktoons Unite, for instance, were known as SpongeBob and Friends outside the US and Canada. That's the reason why, like in places like Romania, for instance, or Argentina, it'd be in places like Disney Channel or Jetix or whatnot. And hearing Fairly Odd Parents at Disney Channel, that just feels odd. Yeah, it does sound odd, but that was the case in many areas, even though everyone knows that it's a Nickelodeon property, a Nickelodeon IP, and something that was made by the network ever since 1998. So not having him here is very odd. And it doesn't even have to be Timmy. You could do Jorgen. You could do Crocker, Vicky, the Crimson Chin, Timmy's dad, the Bronze Kneecap even, Crocker, Francis, Darth Laser. A lot of characters you can go through for Fairly Odd Parents. It doesn't just have to be Timmy. But not having any Fairly Odd Parents stuff at all just is very, very odd. Now, granted, that doesn't mean that this roster you see here, assuming we get the same characters from the first game plus the new characters as the final roster. There's also some rumors saying that Gur is also going to be on the roster too. Whether he is a part of Zim's moveset still or his own character remains to be seen, though I would love to see Gur as his own character, as he is extremely popular, and I would love to see what his moveset potential could bring. But, who knows? Maybe it could be DLC or something. And going on with DLC, what are my predictions for DLC? knowing what the newcomers are. Well, considering that Plankton is already in the game, I will say that Mr. Krabs works best as DLC, considering you have Clancy Brown. You probably cost a little bit much more to get him. And just for Mr. Krabs' character, it honestly fits a lot better for him being a DLC pick, as he is well known for being cheap and very greedy with money. My next character is another character from an existing franchise, Angelica. Why Angelica? Because I think, she's the most famous of, or him or her, Tommy, for the Rugrats. I think she would work very, very well. I think she'd be a very easy pickup for a lot of people, really good for a lot of 90s kids. And the last two are from newer franchises, from franchises that haven't been in this game yet. And Otis, because Otis is the second most requested character. The memes of Barnyard have really gotten big lately. Steve Odekirk is on better terms with Nickelodeon, so he'd be willing to let them use Otis, and the same reason why he let them use Jimmy and Hugh in this game, and Hugh in the last game too, and Cindy in the kart racer game. And then for the final pick, and this one would probably be the last one because it'd be the biggest one, and because you probably need a little bit of money for it, it'll be Timmy Turner. Of course, you need to have Timmy Turner in this game, and I think having him as DLC would be perfect, because if you need more money for it, in the same way that you kind of would have to for Clancy Brown for Mr. Krabs, you do the same thing with Nelvana with Timmy Turner. I think Nelvana would have no issues working with Nickelodeon. They're pretty chill. Granted, you got to go up to Canada to Chorus Entertainment for it, but I think they'd be fine with it. It's more exposure for them, and you just need Nickelodeon to budge. And even then, I think even Nelvana would tell them, hey, listen, this is mostly your thing. We just got that deal from you guys 20 years ago. We don't care. And I think they easily do that. They have to do that. Everyone wants them to. I want them to. You should want them to as well. But that's just my thoughts, guys. What do you think about the 6-7 characters that are chosen here? Do you like them? Do you not like them as much? Do you feel like it could have been better? So the newcomers, assuming there's no more in the base roster from this picture, is Squidward, Plankton, Jimmy Neutron, Donatello, Raphael, Gerald, Grandma Gertie, El Tigre, the Angry Beavers, Azula, Vlad Plasmius, and Ember McLean. That's 12 new characters, addition to the 25 we already had in the last game. So that would leave us with a 37 character roster for the base game. And if we have Gur, that's a 38th character. So what do you guys think? Do you think this is a good base roster? Do you think it's missing some characters? Who would you want to have as DLC? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like this video if you haven't already. Hit subscribe for more videos like this. I'll speak to you guys next time. Peace out.